The asylum stood atop Cradle Hill, a monolithic monument to despair. Its windows, like vacant eyes, stared out at the world. Nature had begun to reclaim it, vines crawling like skeletal fingers across its crumbling facade. The air hung heavy with the weight of forgotten sorrows, a chilling testament to the darkness within. The iron gates, rusted and groaning, stood as a warning. They had once been a symbol of confinement, keeping something terrible trapped within. Now they felt more like a barrier against the outside world, protecting the secrets that lay dormant within the asylum's decaying walls. The path leading to the main entrance was lost beneath a carpet of dead leaves and overgrown weeds, as if nature itself was hesitant to approach. This was not a place for the faint of heart. The asylum on Cradle Hill was more than just an abandoned building. It was a vessel of forgotten memories, a sepulchre of shattered minds. The Cranbrook Mental Asylum, as it was once known, was founded in 1878 with noble intentions. It promised solace and treatment for the mentally ill, a beacon of light in a time when such afflictions were shrouded in ignorance and fear. The early years were filled with a sense of optimism. Doctors employed the most advanced methods of the day, and the air buzzed with the hopeful whispers of families seeking solace for their loved ones. But time, like a silent disease, began to corrupt the asylum's noble purpose. Funding dwindled, the staff shrunk, and the weight of countless tormented minds began to press down on the institution's soul. The treatments, once considered progressive, became increasingly cruel and experimental. The asylum, once a symbol of compassion, transformed into a place of horror. Among the asylum's grim legends, the stories of the whispering rooms were the most unsettling. Located on the asylum's top floor, these rooms were said to be haunted by the tormented souls who had spent their final days within their padded walls. Patients spoke of disembodied voices hissing their names at night, of cold, unseen hands tugging at their clothes, and of a pervasive sense of dread that clung to them like a shroud. The staff, hardened by years of exposure to suffering, dismissed these stories as mere hallucinations, but whispers of the supernatural persisted, passed down from patient to patient, feeding the asylum's grim reputation. Some believed the whispers were the remnants of fractured minds, their pain echoing through the years. Others claimed they were the pleas of lost souls, forever trapped within the asylum's walls, seeking solace or perhaps revenge. One particular room at the end of a long, darkened hallway was said to be the most haunted of all. Haunted. Sarah's tale unfolded like a tragic ballad, pieced together from the fragmented entries of her diary, a tattered volume found hidden beneath a floorboard in room 13. She had been admitted to Cranbrook in the spring of 1903, diagnosed with melancholia, a catch-all term for what we might now recognize as severe depression. Her diary entries, initially filled with a longing for the outside world and hope for a cure, gradually descended into a chilling chronicle of despair. She wrote of shadowy figures lurking at the edge of her vision, of voices whispering her name when no one was around, and of a creeping coldness that seemed to emanate from the very walls of her room. Her once elegant handwriting became erratic, her words disjointed, reflecting a mind slipping further into the abyss. Her diary entries became increasingly desperate, filled with pleas for help, for escape from the torment that plagued her both inside and out. But Sarah's cries for help went unanswered, lost in the cacophony of madness that echoed through Cranbrook's halls. Her diary became her only confidant, a silent witness to her slow descent into madness and despair. The night Sarah disappeared was one of unparalleled fury. A tempest raged outside, mirroring the chaos that had gripped the asylum within. Rain lashed against the windows like 1,000 tiny fists, and the wind howled like a banshee, its mournful cries echoing through the darkened corridors. It was a night when the veil between the living and the dead seemed thin, a night ripe for horrors unimaginable. Sarah's diary entry for that day was brief, frantic, the writing barely legible. "They are here," it read. "They whisper my name, they want to take me away." Those were the last words she ever wrote. When the storm subsided and dawn broke, Sarah was gone. Her bed was undisturbed, her few meager possessions untouched. The only sign of her passing was the open diary on her bedside table, its final page turned down as if marking a life cut tragically short. The staff, accustomed to the asylum's grim realities, conducted a perfunctory search. Decades passed. Cranbrook, unable to outrun its dark legacy, was eventually shut down, abandoned to the elements and the ghosts of its troubled past. But its story didn't end there. It continued to circulate in hushed tones, whispered around campfires and in the shadowy corners of bars, attracting a different kind of visitor. Urban explorers drawn to the site's morbid history and the thrill of the unknown. They came seeking adventure, a glimpse into the past, a brush with the supernatural. They came with cameras and flashlights, ready to document the decay and capture evidence of the paranormal. They came seeking Sarah's story, eager to unravel the mystery of her disappearance. Among them were Liam and Alex, two friends with a shared fascination for the macabre and a YouTube channel dedicated to exploring abandoned and haunted locations. The air inside Cranbrook was thick with the smell of mildew and dust, the silence broken only by the flutter of unseen wings and the drip of water echoing through the vast emptiness. Liam and Alex, armed with cameras and flashlights, stepped cautiously through the debris-strewn corridors, their every step kicking up dust motes that danced in the beams of their lights. The oppressive atmosphere pressed down on them, a tangible reminder of the suffering that had permeated these walls. As they ventured deeper into the asylum, they began to notice strange occurrences. Cold spots where the temperature dropped noticeably sent shivers down their spines. Whispers seemed to emanate from the walls, too faint to decipher, but undeniably human in their cadence. Liam, ever the skeptic, attributed these phenomena to drafts and their own heightened senses. Alex, however, couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. It was in room 13, where the legend of Sarah was most potent, that they made their most chilling discovery. Prying back a loose floorboard, they discovered a small leather-bound diary, its pages brittle with age. As they huddled in the flickering beam of their flashlight, reading Sarah's increasingly frantic entries, the storm that had been brewing outside reached its crescendo. Rain lashed against the windows, mimicking the beating of a frantic heart. The wind howled like a tormented beast, its mournful cries seeming to echo Sarah's own despair. Suddenly, the temperature in the room plummeted. A cold wind whipped through the room, extinguishing their flashlight and plunging them into darkness. Alex felt a hand grip his arm, icy cold and impossibly strong. A voice, barely audible above the storm's fury, whispered his name, the sound sending chills down his spine. Stumbling through the darkened corridors, they ran blindly, desperate to escape the oppressive presence that seemed to be closing in on them. They burst out of the asylum into the raging storm, gasping for breath, their hearts pounding against their ribs. The rain, cold and relentless, felt like a physical manifestation of the terror that clung to them. Looking back at the imposing silhouette of the asylum, they could almost imagine Sarah's face at the window, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and relief. Liam and Alex never returned to Cranbrook. The experience, too real, too terrifying, shattered their skepticism and left them with an unshakable feeling of unease. The legend of Sarah and the whispering rooms of Cranbrook lives on, a cautionary tale whispered among those who dare to explore the darker corners of the world. The abandoned asylum on Cradle Hill stands as a stark reminder of the fragility of the human mind and the enduring power of our darkest fears. It is a place frozen in time, its walls echoing with the whispers of forgotten souls, its corridors haunted by the memories of suffering and despair. The passage of time has done little to diminish its eerie presence. Instead, it has only intensified its aura of tragedy and despair. Places like Cranbrook hold a strange allure. They are physical manifestations of our collective fears, tangible reminders of the darkness that lies at the edge of human experience. They beckon us to confront the unknown, to peer into the abyss of our past and confront the shadows that lurk within us all. But these places also serve as a stark warning. The whispers of the abandoned asylum will likely continue to echo through the ages, a haunting reminder of the fragility of the human psyche and the enduring power of fear. Sarah's story, lost to the annals of time but preserved in the crumbling pages of her diary, serves as a chilling testament to the darkness that can fester in the shadows of our world. And as we stand at the precipice of the unknown, we are left to ponder the enduring question: are the whispers we hear merely the echoes of our own fears, or do they emanate from something more profound, something that lies just beyond the veil of our understanding?